So I think when one is confronted with interviewing PJ or work about politics, the best thing to do is say, what do you make of all of this?
Less and less. I'm doing a piece for BBC World Service where we're trying to explain the 2000 election in 26 minutes on radio to people who are not American. It's doomed mission, obviously, but so anyway, I have been really on the road with all these candidates for the past week, and each of them seems to just sort of suck information out of the room. I mean, I emerged from each candidate event knowing less than I went in. I don't know what to make of this, honestly.
Your political coverage goes back to the 60s. Your interest in politics certainly goes back to the 60s.
My presidential coverage, I started with Nixon versus McGovern in 1972. And I've never seen a go rodeo like this. I don't know what's going on. And particularly the muddle in the middle in the Republican Party is truly why one of these people hasn't sort of risen to comparative prominence. I don't know. And then we seem to have we have got a Ross Perot on the left, we got a Ross Perot on the right. All we lack is Ross himself.
I seem to recall a line of yours about polls and how if everybody decided what we were going to pull together, we couldn't decide on what to get on a pizza.
That's absolutely true. I mean, anybody with 3 kids can tell you. 3 kids ordering a pizza. Olives! Yeah. No, I mean, one of the problems with a democracy like ours is that it's got 319 million different opinions, none of which agree with any others.
What makes New Hampshire different from the other states that you cover?
Nothing really. It's smaller, easier to get around, and of course it's early. It's first primary, and so it takes on an extraordinary importance. New Hampshire isn't, however. Years ago, it was an odd state. It was very different from the other 47 back in those days, and it isn't really anymore. New Hampshire has become a pretty purple state. It's got the economy is better, less jobless, but it's not wildly, in terms of median income, median education, it's pretty similar to the rest of the United States. Well, of course, it lacks ethnic diversity. Don't tell New Hampshireite that because there's a big Yankee, French-Canadian, Irish divide in New Hampshire. So New Hampshire feels, well, we're plenty diverse. We got French Canadians, and Irish. But I mean, obviously, we don't have the ethnic and racial diversity of the rest of the country. But in many other ways, we are pretty reflective. But what the specialness of it is it's a state where you have to do a lot of retail politicking. You have to do little bitty events. It comes first before everybody's sick of the process. It acts as or has in the past acted as somewhat of a winnowing machine to get rid of the very weakest candidates. I don't know, they're all pretty weak in one way or another this time around, so I don't know if that's going to work.
You've traditionally been in support of the right wing. Are you supporting any one of these guys more than the other?
No, not really. I'm not. I think that Cruz is a little, I agree with Cruz on many issues, but I think he's a little too strident for the American general public. I liked Rand Paul, but Rand Paul just wasn't good at getting his libertarian message across. He was too prolix and answering questions. And I think maybe, Rand's young, he's got a lot of time. Maybe he'll come back. I just voted this morning for Kasich. I think he's done a good job as a pretty conservative governor in a purple state. His state, Ohio, really is reflective of America. And Kasich is very popular there, and he's done good things with the budget. Bond ratings are up. Spending is down.
If you were to bet today, who do you think would win this?
I think it's way too early. I think we're still in the sort of flying ponies and unicorns and candy-flavored rainbows stage of the campaign. And there's no way Trump Bernie or Trump. There is no way that Bernie or Trump gets elected. I mean, they each create a impossible coalition against the other. Bernie would be like the anti-Obama. He would bring out everyone who's even remotely Republican or remotely conservative Democrat, or had ever even seen a conservative Democrat, or had met a Republican, would be out there voting against Bernie. And Trump's the other way around. Trump would bring the Obama coalition back together, plus a whole bunch of regular Democrats too. So yeah, I mean, these are two suicidal candidates. What happens if the two of them run against each other? Michael Bloomberg would be my guess.
Your book, CEO of the Couch, you talked about your leadership at home and your life at home.
Yeah, you bet.
So, what do your daughters make of this? We talk a lot about a relationship with technology, the tech side of this.
Yeah.
What is the CEO of the O'Rourke clan? How would you be leading this via tech?
And I follow rather than lead. Most of this coverage that I've done, I've been accompanied by my chief technical officer, who's my 15-year-old daughter, Olivia, and she's done a great job. Absolutely, she knows how to work the cell phone and Google things and all sorts of things. She can Google on the phone. Who knew? And so that's why I don't have her today. She had to go back to school. But so my 18-year-old daughter, this will be her first experience with voting. She is agonizing about this. She's fiscal conservative. On the other hand, she's very strong on women's issues. She's not finding anybody out there that suits her. My 15-year-old daughter, she hopes someday, I think, maybe to be doing what we're doing. As I explained to her, it's the most horrible thing in the world except for work. And she agrees. She likes this. But she's taking, the real media, the approach we're all supposed to take. Dad, I'm just watching these people.
You were liberal in your youth. You became more conservative as you got older.
Yeah.
That's kind of the traditional path that,
Yeah.
all the sayings about that go.
Yeah.
Do you see that in your kids, or have they been influenced by you?
I think they've been influenced by probably more my wife than me, but I mean, they've been brought up in a fiscally conservative, socially liberal household. I mean, really tolerant. I hope we haven't shown any evidence of prejudice to them and so on and so forth. On the other hand, we're small government people, small government libertarian people. They've been brought up around. They all know how to shoot. And, they've been brought up with that stuff. Yeah, we shall see. Who knows? I mean, they're their own little people. The strongest argument for God, as far as I'm concerned, is when you have kids, you realize they each have a little soul, and no matter what you say or what you do, and they're not all alike. The same two people produced them, and they're like wildly different from each other, and they're wildly different from you. They each have their own little soul.
Have they read Republican Party Animal?
I don't think. I think I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, when my kids were younger and his kids were teens, I said, "What are you telling your kids about drugs?" He said, "I told them, never ever touch drugs." He said, "Dad never did drugs." I said, "Wait a minute, you've written about doing drugs." He said, "The only people you can trust not to read something you write are your children. They're not interested."
So you have a new book out now.
I had a collection, an anthology, Thrown Under the Omnibus, which is collect stuff that I've done. From back in the time when I was at the National Lampoon in the 1970s until the present.
PJ O'Rourke, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.